cómo han cogido a los niñitos estos de 14, 15 años y lo han puesto al antico ahí. Le han dado una ropa y unos escudos de policía. Miren eso, mírenlo. Hay otra toma ahí que se va a ver que son unos niños. Este de la esquinita aquí me da una lástima, no sabe qué hacer. Mira, ese de ahí no sabe qué hacer, pobrecito. Mira ese niño como está nervioso, mira. Le están hablando y le están diciendo, no, la tumba no quiere pasarle por arriba porque son niños. Miren eso como mira para atrás, a ver si viene alguien a... Nada, han puesto esos muchachos ya que los maten. Qué hijos de la gran puta son todos los comunistas de pinga estos. Miren eso, miren ese niño, miren. Mira cómo está, mira, nervioso está ese muchachito, mira ese niñito, mira el otro al lado, todo, miren eso, miren. Niño, no pesa 60, 70, 80, no. El que más pesa que vea 100 libras. Y los otros huevones atrás, miren, descarados, ahora se dan cuenta que los niños están nerviosos y vienen para acá a tratar de seguir metiéndole en la cabeza que hay que defender la mierda, que miren eso, cómo está ese muchachito, mira cómo mira para los lados, no sabe qué hacer. Pobrecito, con el palito aguantado que no puede ni la manito esa no le da ni para aguantar el palo. Miren eso, caballero, miren esas imágenes, miren. Ahora vienen los cabrones aquellos a decirle que sigan, miren. Y todos son niños iguales, miren. Todos son niñitos. Mira cómo está, mira, nervioso. Mira, ahora vienen los cabrones. Mira, ya se dieron cuenta, ¿ves? Y vienen ahora. Clase falta de respeto y que abuso tienen los hijos de puta.
For anyone who doesn't understand Spanish, the guy who's narrating that video is basically saying, look at these kids. They barely weigh more than 100 pounds. You could tell how nervous one of them is. He keeps looking back because he doesn't know what to do. Look at his hand. It barely even holds the nightstick he's been given to turn against the people. And the people are actually, they're not going through that line. They know. Most of those people there, they know that these kids have been forced to do this. And the most twisted part about it is that these kids are not only forced to turn on their own, they're forced to turn on their own in different cities, in different villages throughout Cuba. So in other words, if you're dragged out, if you live in Havana, they're not going to drag you out of your home to turn on your own in Havana. They're going to drag you out of Havana. They're going to take you to a place like maybe Pinal del Rio or something like that. And they're going to have you do the dirty work over there. And this is known. I mean, even the White House is finally admitting to this. If I'm not mistaken, I remember hearing Jen Psaki talking about this. And she even used the word sham trials. I remember her saying that. So I was like, good, they know this. I wish more people knew this. I wish more people understood this, especially anybody who is still supporting the Castro regime. People who are still thinking that it's the embargo. People who still think that all of Cuba's problems are due to the United States and angry Cuban exiles from South Florida. Yeah, angry Cuban exiles who still have family over there. And that's how that regime is managing to stay in power, thanks to the angry Cuban exiles that so many people think it's politically chic, that it's so intellectual to look down on them and talk about how, some of our like senators like Marco Rubio and other Cuban American Congress people and stuff, that this is all just a game. You have no clue. If you have no family in Cuba, you have no idea. Why do people keep saying these things? And I don't want to do the same thing that the Castro regime does to the Cuban people. I don't want to, I want to bring people onto the side of humanity. I want to bring people onto the side of seeing this regime for what it is and why it needs to go down. How it goes down, that's a different story. Military intervention, not so sure about that. Human intervention, we're going to need it one way or another. I don't know if there's peacekeepers from the United Nations that can go over there. Something has to be done. It's never going to change in Cuba as long as the Castros are in power. Never, ever going to change. ever. There's never going to be democracy. And let's just forget about democracy, just the standard of living for so many Cubans. The only people who live semi-well in Cuba are people who are part of the regime. People willing to partake in dragging children out of their homes to go and turn them on the Cuban people. And people, I really wish more of you people who think you speak Spanish, yo hablo español, I can order a mojito. Here's two words that I wonder if you even have ever understood Cubans talk about. Chivatear and chantajear, which is snitching and extortion. And for those of you who you think you're so up on Cuban politics and you want to continue defending this, and again, I don't want to insult, watch many of the actual Cuban YouTubers who are putting out videos. And granted, they live in South Florida, but they're from Cuba. They lived it. And many of them, sadly enough, were probably part of the Cuban government. Because if you're born there and you're raised there, there's no escaping it. There's no escaping it. And two words that I hear a lot of them keep talking about are chivatear and chantajear. Chantajear even more so. Extortion. And how the government basically dangles your job in front of you. You want to keep your job, you better go to that protest on our behalf. That's why there's many people on Twitter. I remember the first few days of the protests, people are like, you got it all wrong. You don't understand. The protests are for the government. Pfft, this guy doesn't know anything. Huh? You idiots. You idiots. Oh, look, dude, books have been written about you type of people by other Hispanics. This is called The Manual of the Perfect Latin American Idiot. Basically, the useful idiots. And hey, listen, I'm no scholar myself. I'm kind of making an ass of myself making these videos, I'm sure. And it's fine. It's fine. I don't care what people think. Well, I kind of do. I want people to stop thinking that the Castro regime is doing the Cuban people any favors. That's what I want people to stop thinking. And I want that cancer, that mental virus to not continue spreading throughout the United States, because it's spread enough. It's spread more than enough. And with Black Lives Matter, I mean, the fact that they're defending it still, I mean, they had eulogized Fidel Castro on their website, on their homepage, if I'm not mistaken, when he died back in 2016. Now, 2021, they're still calling for the embargo. They're still standing behind that Castro regime. And then that's the problem. You have way too many, and I don't know how else to say this, self-flagellating, white-guilted cowards who don't want to call out Black Lives Matter because they're afraid they're going to be seen as racists. This is a problem. This is already here in our country. And I don't want to be alarmist, and I don't want to suggest that we're at a civil war. Of course not. We're still at a point right now in this country where it's a matter of just, we need to snuff out the ideas. We need to just stomp out these bad ideas. And more than enough people seem to be getting it, but there's more than enough people that still don't get it. And don't want to make this video too long. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If there's anything I've said that is incorrect, factually incorrect, please correct me in the comments down below. Let me know. The last thing I want to do is spread disinformation as well. And I'm not getting paid by any groups. The CIA I'm not working for the CIA. The CIA tried interrogating my parents back in the 70s. Don't need to get into those details either. Believe me, I'm well aware of a lot of the bad faith things that this government has done as well. But there is no comparison. There is no comparison. The fact that I can make this video. The fact that I can make this video from my house and put it out there and not have to worry about getting a knock on my door, not have to worry about, if I had children, having soldiers come over here and drag my children out of home. The fact that I could do this on the street, L for liberty, and not get arrested or beaten. There's no comparison of what goes on in Cuba to the United States. That is a murderous regime run by psychopaths. More people need to know this. The last thing, if there's one message I want to drive home, is how the Castro regime turned the Cuban people on themselves. That's how they do it. That's how they've always done it. Just dangling your job in front of you. And by the way, there are more than enough reports from enough people if you listen in on this. Especially if you understand Spanish, of how people are being told, if you don't get a club, if you don't get if you don't go and beat on the protesters, it's not enough to go and meet against the protesters, to protest against the protesters. They want you to beat them, especially if you're a male and if you're a fully grown man. They want that. Okay. People have been threatened that they'd be losing their jobs. Students in new universities have been threatened to have their university taken away. This is what is actually happening in Cuba. And this is why that regime needs to go down. This is not about the embargo. Anyway, making this way too long. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out the links down below. And thanks for watching.